It is not fair for you to question the paternity of a child whose father had accepted before his passing. It is not fair. What are you trying to do? No, tell me. Hey guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. Hi, my name is Didi Onito, and if this is your first time on this channel, thank you very much for stopping by. But if you're a returning viewer, I am so glad to have you back. On this channel, of course, we know we talk about social issues, although we tried an experiment, in the last few episodes, but hey, it's okay, right? It's okay to explore and test new waters and see what, if it's actually really something we want to dive into, right? Okay, guys, so a lot has happened here. Actually, I want to talk about what happened in I want to talk about what happened in September 12th. I mean, an event that shook the entire nation, talking about the death of Irelo Oluwa, right? I'm sure I got that right, aka Mobahd. And of course, for the purpose of this video, we're going to be talking. Okay, for the purpose of this video, we're going to be referring to him as Mobahd, or I don't want to murder anybody's name. Okay. All right. Okay, so Mobahd sadly or unfortunately passed on the 12th of September 2023, and it was a terrible incident. I particularly didn't know him before his passing, but I heard that song, okay, that song, right? I heard about it. I knew that. I had people who used to play it a lot around me, and yeah, the whole Malian music thing going on. So I actually just thought it was the Naira Marley song, right? I had no idea that there was a Mobahd or an Imole somewhere along the line. Of course, we know that his other name is Imole. I was always heartbroken. I was so vested in that matter such that I felt like I started seeing his picture everywhere around me. For me, what was more profound about all of the revelations was the fact that he was a really quiet and reserved guy. And I could see, I mean, from the little that I could gather from all the videos that went around on the news, the fact and line everywhere, was the fact that he was struggling with that lifestyle that he found himself in, right? And I just felt like if this guy had a chance, he would have done better for himself. He would have made better choices, right? So people made so many content. I saw a lot of content even on here on YouTube, IG, everywhere. People had so much to say. But the ones that really broke my heart or got to me was when people tried to water down the fact that we had lost a human being because they were trying to get their faves or not make the whole thing be about Naira Marley killing him, or trying to vindicate the guy, if that's the word. Because I'm like, why don't you wait for the investigations to be carried out? I mean, it was messy, it was unfortunate. You would have heard if you're Nigerian, and even if you're not, people in the diaspora, I mean foreigners, learnt about these. People were talking about it everywhere. I mean, the death of the young man that is shaking the entire nation and almost the entire world. We had people in different parts of the world, doing candle lights, processing, just to show respect, right? So I would say it was a global thing. Now, how come a young man who was somewhere in the world, somewhere in Lagos, trying to survive, how come his death shook the nation like that? Now, that was profound. That was one question I constantly asked myself and people around me. I just wanted to know. I just knew that there was something about that young man. There was something about him. He wasn't meant to come and die like that. And now, I want to say, in fact, I know that if anything, what caused the fundamental problem that brought about all of this is the fact that his both parents failed him, not Nigerians. Yes, Nigerians must have had one or two things to do, or Nigeria as a country based on how things are in the country currently, but his parents, his mother and his father failed him big time, right? Okay, Of course, it's common knowledge that he was from a dysfunctional home, right? But this is the thing, yeah. I feel like all of these would have been avoided if his both parents knew what they were doing and they had it together and they were able to build a proper home, not a house now, a home with kids, I mean a proper family, and were able to bring up these kids in the way that they ought to have, because it wasn't the cost of trying to survive, it was the cost of trying to navigate life all by himself. A young man that age, I mean, he was not just becoming the Mobahd, he had been Mobahd for some years, and as at the time he was barely 27 when he passed. So you can imagine how long this guy had to be alone. I learned his mother left his father when he was 12, and of course that father that I saw, listened to and read about doesn't sound like a father who actually really cares. No, he doesn't. Now, why am I saying so? Because how are you rushing to bury your child? You might not have had money, you might have had threats or whatever it was, but as a person, I'll be worried. I'll ask questions. I want to know why my baby just passed like that. Do you understand? But no, he rushed, buried him because of whatever tradition he was claiming, and as if that wasn't enough, he started granting interviews about how the boy never gave him money, how he wasn't the one, you know, in the Lakey house, how it was the mother who was comfortable, how the boy barely sent him 150,000 naira for naming. Come on, naming held at Mobahd's house, right? Naming of his son Liam now was at the father's house. You're just the grandpa. You ought to be at the venue of the naming. Why do you have to throw a party at your house? And then he managed to squeeze out 150,000 to send to you, and you're complaining is not enough. Now you guys will agree with me that guy's problem was actually from home, like from home. His family were after his life, because it makes sense why a father would say that. Okay, he was not saying that, oh, even the properties was with the mother-in-law. As much as I do not want to, I'm not trying to say that was right for him to do, because it still boils down to failed parenting. Because if that boy had gone to school and had the necessary exposure before trying to do life by himself, he would have had understandings of how a lot of things work. You can take your landed properties, your documents to the bank. Do you understand? You can keep them there for safekeeping, for whatever reason. If you're having trust issues around you, you just know that, okay, the same way you take your money to the bank, why can't you entrust your landed property document or your house document, whatever you hold here actually, in the bank? Why can't you? You can actually, you really can. I don't know people know this. I don't know if a lot of people actually have this information, but you can. That is a thing. But this boy, of course, never went to school. I mean, we don't know if he finished secondary school even. So he should have been better informed. You would agree with me at this point. His parents failed him big time. And now it got to a point where the child was being bullied. And instead of them to speak out and shout like mad people everywhere, just for the world to hear that, oh, one person somewhere is trying to kill their child, they went into hiding. Why? Because they're poor, they don't have money, blah 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 blah, forgetting that this is their source of, you know, livelihood, this particular child. And if something should happen and he's gone, it's going to affect them. I know that right now it feels like, oh, Nigerians, of course, being the good people that they are coming around, rallying around them, donating money, but it's never going to be forever. And for a family like that does not seem very industrious, it's just a matter of time. All of that money is going to go away. So Imole or Mobahd was actually the family's cash cow. So how could they have slept on his problems? How was it convenient for them to do that? So please try as much as you can to do all that you can, and that includes working very hard to make a name for yourself so that your kids do not have to associate with the wrong people just because they want to earn a living. Yes, I said that. Of course, now we are aware that, you know, they're currently in court for the coroner inquest. First of all, a coroner inquest means that a judicial inquiry will be set up in a system that practices common law like Nigeria to inquire about the cause of a person's death. Got that? I said that coroner inquest is a court system being set up to inquire about the cause of a person's death in a system that practices common law like Nigeria. Okay? And so far, the wife has been making a lot of revolutions. I mean, you're aware the body was exhumed, autopsy was being carried out. We got to find out that, oh, he died as a result of injection, and this that people are still being interrogated. The nurse was said to be, wanted, and they were still yet to get her to ask her the necessary questions. And of course, the wife just spoke about it, that she's been his nurse for at least 2 years before his passing. So it wasn't just a regular person who was called to come and give, injection for the first time, right? And she now went ahead to tell us about the relationship between her and the father-in-law, which of course a lot of people had come to say, oh, she's not a good wife, oh, she was my son's problem. Of course, that was what the father said. Oh, her mother is controlling my son, the landed documents was with her, and kini, all of that. And this is for somebody who was barely surviving. I mean, Mobahd, and then all of a sudden you guys are fighting over property. Make it make sense. So since the Corona inquest started, there's been a lot of revelations. I mean, from Wumi trying to tell us what her relationship with her father-in-law has been like, and of course the relationship between Mobahd and his father has been like. And I do not understand why people won't let the girl talk. For instance, she said that Mobad's father used to bring his girlfriend to their house, and Nigerians are saying, why is that information necessary? Why is that information not necessary? Because she needed to tell us that for us to have an understanding that Mobahd and his father had a really good relationship. And of course, if he was not comfortable around the son, he won't be taking a girl, or the son's wife, that's the daughter-in-law, he won't be taking a girlfriend to the son's house when he has a wife back at home. Do you understand? He used to come to the house. He was quite comfortable. They were quite close. He prayed for her to conceive the child, and that's the same child they said she's been sleeping around, and Mobahd, he's not the father. Now about that, I think Nigerians, especially that very dark man, is being extremely disrespectful, because why would you do that to his memory? Why would you do that to a dead man's memory? He's dead. And before he died, he made sure to accept his child. He didn't even have questions of who the father is and if he was the father. He accepted his child, named him Imole after himself, was doing all he could to make sure that the child was protected. He went ahead to apply for his visa. He wanted the child to even be born abroad, according to the wife during the inquest, the inquiry. But then he didn't have the money, and then he had to you know follow that up after the birth of the child, which sadly his visa came out a day before he passed. He wanted the girl to go away with the son, so that at least he knows that, oh, okay, it's just him in this country, whatever his uh abusers were doing with him, whatever they get to do with him, he will know that it's just him, because he had to stay back to hustle. This is where he was known. This is where his hustle was. This is where he had known all his life, right? I mean, if he wouldn't have had a reason to go away, I mean, we don't know that. We won't know that if because he's not here. He's no longer here, right? So, but Nigerians would let her talk. You see, lots of comments. The thing is, we lack emotional intelligence in this country, because tell me why we do not have patience. Tell me why we won't even let a person finish and drive their point home before we react. Because we are always assuming things. We are always thinking too far ahead, even when we are wrong. We feel like we know it all. I mean, this is a problem back at home, because this is where this starts before we get to the social circle, and then it becomes a national problem. It becomes a global problem. It becomes a human being thing. Oh, human beings are this. Oh, human beings are that. It started right from home. So, guys, I just pray that we are going to be a lot more understanding, that we are going to apply more wisdom and allow this girl talk. I mean, she's been quiet for so long. I know that she's bereaved. I know that she's been mourning, but can we let her talk now that, I mean, there is an official um setting, there is a courtroom for her to talk with evidences, with received, talk, tell us all that she knows, so that at least we can have a background understanding first of all, and then get our facts together, start finding evidence, and make all of these make sense, and put the young man to rest eventually, finally. It is not fair for you to question the paternity of a child whose father had accepted before his passing. It is not fair. What are you trying to do? No, tell me. If you want to be logical right now, that very dark man, if he succeeds, let's just say he succeeds to prove that that child is not Mobad, what is he? What will he achieve eventually? He would have succeeded in making sure that Mobad is gone and there is nobody to continue his legacy. No one at all. How exactly does that make sense? How? Because the way it's going, it looks like anybody will go to any length just to make sure that all of this is dead and gone. And even his son, he's a child, barely 5 months. And I'm sure that if there was a father somewhere that we did not know, another man somewhere that we did not know, he probably will be talking by now. But for whatever reason, that he's not talking, if at all he's alive, there is a person like that, then why can't we all just be cool and be that reasonable? Be as reasonable as he is. Do you understand? I just feel like this is really unfair. That very dark man, whatever is it, when he started with Jenny's Glow, I was happy. I loved what he was doing. But at this point, he needs to stop and think. Yes, he's gotten the popularity that, is expected that he gets, whether or not he wanted it, because he keeps saying he's not doing it for that, he's not doing it for money, he has gotten it, and I'm sure he would have been getting some monies by now as well. Can he know when to be sensitive and when not to already? So, guys, that's my point. I mean, I'm glad that I gave this enough time so that I don't come here being all emotional and all and sounding like it's a personal matter. But let's be logical. That's all I'm trying to say. Mubad's body was exhumed. I was honestly believing that he was going to come back to life. Like they would just find him, breathing somewhere. But it was so sad. He wasn't alive. Although people rumored there were blood stains and blah blah blah. They found him dead, took him out, did the autopsy. Apparently, apparently Naira Marley actually, I mean, the Malian music bullied him for whatever reason for so long. He was afraid of his life. He was tired of life. A lot of times he wanted to go. The Nigerian Drug Enforcement Agency did their thing. Whatever they gave him to drink, they're still holding on to the fact that, or to their claim that they never arrested him. But the wife is telling us they did, and in fact, gave him something to drink, which messed up with his mind. He started forgetting things. He couldn't even remember his password. And a whole lot of things, you guys. So just let me know what you think. This is my stance, though. These are my opinions, though. Right? And I just hope that, I sincerely pray that they're going to find reason to put all of this to rest and let the young woman and her child be. I mean, for a woman who has given 10 years of her life to a man, and I hear she's barely 24. Well, Mubad was 27 before he passed. That means they've been together since they were kids, since when he was 17 and when she was 14. Come on now. Come on. Let's let the young woman and her child be. That's all I have to say. I'm not here to say, oh, was she cheating? Because nobody can actually prove that. My own is that child is Mobad. Till Mobad died, he believed he had a son. Let's leave it at that. For his memory. For the sake of his memory. For the sake of his posterity, his name. Let there be something of, that we can look back and be like, oh, Mobad, sadly passed, but thank God there is Liam. Right? So yes, guys, that's my opinion. That's all I have to say about this matter. And I hope that we find a way to put all of this to rest. And I sincerely pray that his soul finds rest in God's bosom. Right? Let me know what you think. Do you agree with me? Do you not? What are your thoughts? Right? Okay, guys. I thank you so very much for watching. I love you and bye bye.